Moral condition of Arabia. Arabia was, as mentioned in previous pages, the cradle of the Sam. Shem, son of Noah. Dynasty from the days old. Since very little is known of the Arab Ba'ida, it cannot be definitely said what was the moral condition of the Arab Ba'ida as compared to contemporary nations of the world. However, it may be conjectured that in the earlier times when human population was very sparse in the inhabited quarter of the world, by and large, there would be many similarities concerning their moral standing. Before the progress and development made by Banu Ismail, and after the Arab Ba'ida, traces are found of many realms and kingdoms from the time of the cotton Arabs' power throughout Arabia. But in no period of their history did any one kingdom enjoy undivided power over the entirety of Arabia. There were provinces with separate rulers, some of them more renowned than others. However, inside the country, independent homeless bands wandered aimlessly with their tents loaded on their camels. Lack of pasture, water, and the necessities of life always kept the Arabs wandering and passing their days in hardship and monotony. The lack of the necessities of life caused them to neglect building a society. Their way of life showed no distinct mark or sign of change and reform. Life consisted of few activities and it had a uniformity of events that gave them a great deal of leisure time. A large number of vast deserts, the absence of production and indigenous things of value and the dearth of populated lands and cities never interested any foreign power to turn towards Arabia with expansionist ideas, nor were there any means or reasons to attract tourists and traders to the peninsula. Thus the people of Arabia were generally unaware of the progress and development of other nations of the world and their society, character, and way of living. No foreign nation even exercised its influence on the Arabs. Assertions of dignity. Under these circumstances and in such an environment only two traits of character easily developed in the people of Arabia. 1. The development of the art of poetry, for which they had a great deal of leisure time at their disposal, passing nights in the open desert, and they were free of any disciplined stream of thought. Both of these states served as great stimuli. 2. The tremendous effort to survive and the subjection to a life of hardship made them extremely fond of fighting and tests of strength. Constant mutual combat led sense of dignity. Pride and boasting, two typical qualities of man, led to bravery and generosity, defining distinct roles which they followed with great interest. Idleness and deep indulgence in poetic composition turned them to lovemaking and drinking. But bravery and boldness had made them hospitable to a high degree and firm in fulfilling their promise as a matter of honor. Gambling, archery, assemblies for the recital of poetic verses, assertions of dignity, and competitions were some of the means of passing their time. In short, Arabia and its climate conditioned the Arab character. Hud and Salih and several other prophets were sent to the Arab Ba'ida. But the disrespect and disobedience shown to these prophets resulted in their utter and total destruction. Some prophets were also sent to another sections of the Arabs, the cotton Arabs, but they paid very little attention to their call, with the result that they met their doom time and again. Moreover, they could not profit substantially from the teachings of their prophets on account of their rebellious attitude and undisciplined thinking. Some of the people of Arabia believed in Ibrahim and Ismail in the sphere of faith and religion. Their genealogical pride and egotism and the vocation of their ancestors led them to hero worship, which ultimately paved the way to carving idols in their names to be worshipped. Idol worship led them to superstitions and many other irrational ideas. When the cotton tribes were on the decline and Banu Ismail the Adnan tribes had gained ground, the invasion of Makkah by the Khuzaa tribe resulted in the defeat of the Jurhum tribe. The integrity of the Adnan tribes was violated by this defeat, and it injured the power and dignity of the emerging Banu Ismail in the Hijaz. It resulted in a fierce rivalry between the Adnan and cotton tribes, which gave birth to small clans which were unable to transform themselves into a united rule of significant importance. The larger domains were not much better than anarchy, no Arabian king and his system of rule over his subjects was as remarkable for law and order as that of the ordinary feudal system used in Persia. This anarchy and unbridled freedom gave rise to untold immorality, misbehavior and disrespectful rudeness which permeated the whole social life of the Arabs, and this human depravity continued until the light of Islam rose from the dark horizon of this country. Most of the Arabs were nomads, and very few had settled permanently in townships and populated areas. The Arabs were very fond of keeping an exact genealogy of their ancestors preserved by memory. They would mention the names and deeds of their people during fighting. Perhaps it was the impact of the climatic conditions of the country or their fondness for genealogy that caused the Arabs to have a very strong memory. It was something simple for them to keep in memory accurately odes of tribute that were several hundred verses long, after only once. Their art of poetry and command of language led them to such a state of development that they named all the non-Arabs as Ajam, literally, mute. If an individual of one clan was killed by that of another, the clan belonging to the dead person would not rest until they took revenge. To be at rest without an act of retaliation was a matter of utter shame and disgrace for them. Reverence for the Kaaba and performing Hajj was a sign of power for all the Arabs through all their generations. Helping the helpless and the oppressed and keeping firm against the oppressors were qualities appreciated by one and all. Timidity and miserliness were taken as the greatest defects and the worst flaw of character.